The escape pod drifted through the endless void, its hull scarred by micrometeorite impacts and solar radiation. Inside, Kale pressed his four-fingered hands against the failing life support console, watching the atmospheric readings decline with each passing hour. His chitinous exoskeleton had dulled from its once vibrant blue to a sickly gray, a sign of prolonged stress among his people. The Yelani.23 cycles had passed since the merchant vessel Prophet's Edge had suffered catastrophic engine failure near the border of unclaimed space. The crew had abandoned ship in whatever pods they could find, scattering like seeds on a cosmic wind. Kale had been the junior navigator, barely old enough to qualify for deep space travel, and now he faced death alone in the darkness between stars. His communicator had fallen silent days ago, the last desperate transmissions from other pods fading into static. The emergency beacon continued its automated distress call, but Kale knew the futility of hope in this forsaken region. No major shipping lanes passed through here. No rescue ships patrolled these depths. The Velani Confederation had written off the Prophet's Edge and its crew as acceptable losses. The pod's recycling systems wheezed and clicked, struggling to maintain breathable atmosphere. Kale calculated he had perhaps 6 hours of air remaining, maybe 8 if he entered hibernation mode. But his species could only sustain that state for limited periods, and he had already exhausted 2 hibernation cycles during his ordeal. Through the small porthole, distant stars provided the only illumination, their light taking centuries to reach his dying sanctuary. Kale had memorized every constellation visible from his position, finding odd comfort in their unchanging patterns. At least something in the universe remained constant while his world slowly ended. A faint vibration through the pod's hull made him look up from his calculations. Probably another piece of debris, he thought, returning to his preparations for the inevitable. But the vibration came again, rhythmic and purposeful. Kale pressed his face to the porthole and saw lights approaching through the darkness. The vessel that emerged from the black was unlike anything in his memory. Its angular hull bore no resemblance to Valani curves or the geometric precision of the Aldari Collective. Strange markings covered its surface, and it moved with an aggressive efficiency that spoke of military purpose. As it drew closer, Kale could make out weapon emplacements and sensor arrays that seemed almost primitive compared to standard galactic technology. His communicator crackled to life with an unfamiliar language, harsh consonants and rolling vowels that his translator struggled to process. Eventually, meaning emerged from the static. Unknown vessel. This is Captain Miller of the UESS Defiance. We have received your distress signal. Please respond if you are conscious and able to communicate. Kale's 3 hearts hammered against his chest plates. The humans. He had heard stories whispered in starport bars, tales of the aggressive newcomers who had emerged from a previously unknown spiral arm. They were said to be violent, unpredictable, and worst of all, they had never been properly catalogued by the Galactic Council. Many species considered them little better than pirates. With trembling fingers, Kale activated his transmitter. This is Navigator Kale of the merchant vessel Prophet's Edge. I am Velani. My life support is failing. Please, I need assistance. Copy. That Kale. We're moving to intercept. Hang tight. The human ship maneuvered with surprising grace for its size, matching the pod's trajectory and extending what appeared to be a docking tube. Kale felt his pod shudder as magnetic clamps engaged, and moments later, the airlock cycled open with a hiss of equalizing pressure. The human who entered wore a bulky environmental suit, his face visible through a transparent faceplate. He was smaller than Kale had expected, with pink skin and short brown hair, but his movements conveyed competence and authority. 2 others followed him, carrying what appeared to be medical equipment. I'm Dr. Ross, the first human said, his voice clear through the suit's communication system. "We're going to get you out of here, but first, I need to check your condition. Your species requires a different atmospheric mix than ours, correct?" Kale nodded weakly, surprised by the humans. "Knowledge. Nitrogen methane with trace sulfur compounds. But I can breathe your atmosphere for short periods." "Good. We have a medical bay set up with your species requirements. Intelligence briefings from trade missions. Let's get you stabilized." As the humans carefully extracted him from the failing pod, Kale marveled at their efficiency. Every movement was purposeful, every action coordinated. These were not the savage raiders of spacer rumors, but professional rescuers who had prepared for exactly this situation. The medical bay aboard the Defiance was indeed configured for multiple species, with adjustable atmospheric controls and universal monitoring equipment. As Dr. Ross worked to treat Kale's malnutrition and exposure symptoms, Captain Miller appeared at the bedside. "We've been monitoring distress calls in this sector for the past month," Miller explained. 3 Villani pods, 2 Althery escape craft, and a Rigelian courier ship, all abandoned by their respective governments as too costly to rescue. "You saved them all?" Kale asked weakly. Miller nodded grimly. "Somebody has to. The major powers seem to consider crews expendable once they're outside profitable shipping lanes. We don't see it that way. But why? We are not your people. The Confederation offers no alliance with humans." The captain's expression softened. "Because leaving someone to die in the void when you have the power to save them isn't just morally wrong, it's a betrayal of what it means to be a spacefaring species. Every life lost out here diminishes all of us." As Kyle recovered over the following days, he learned more about the human philosophy. They called it the rite of rescue, an ancient maritime tradition adapted for the depths of space. No distress call went unanswered if they had the capability to respond, regardless of species, politics, or profit margins. When the Defiance finally delivered Kale to a Vellani station, he carried with him a new understanding. The humans were indeed different from other species, but not in the ways the rumors suggested. They possessed something rarer than advanced technology or military might. They had retained their compassion even as they reached for the stars. Standing on the station's observation deck, watching the human ship disappear into hyperspace, Kale touched the communication device Miller had given him. It contained the frequencies monitored by human rescue ships throughout the galaxy. "For when others need what we gave you," Miller had said, "the stars no longer seemed so cold or distant. Somewhere among them, humans continued their quiet work of salvation, breaking the silence of space with acts of unexpected mercy." And perhaps, Kale thought, that made all the difference in an often uncaring universe.